Now, I know my channel is called Ex-Army Paz49, I did 8 years in the mob, but I'm not selling myself as some supreme military tactician, because I'm not. But even I understand that sending tanks to the Ukraine is escalating stuff to a higher degree. After all, this is Putin we're talking about, this is Russia we're talking about, and not some teeny tiny tin pot dictator with a teeny tiny ragtag army who will back down once they see these tanks. And it was rather embarrassing watching Western countries argue and fight over themselves as to who was going to send these tanks first, especially Germany with their Leopard tanks. Now, they weren't going to send their tanks because they wanted to see what another country was going to do first. I mean, my God, you're either throwing in your money, everything you have, with the horse you're backing, i.e. Ukraine, or you don't. If Western governments really don't want Putin to take over the Ukraine, then send troops in and make that commitment rather than this pantomime that's going on now. But it won't happen. And the reason it won't happen is because the West, they want Putin gone. Now, this isn't a pro-Putin channel. I'm not a Putin fan. I know exactly what the guy is. But they want to do to Putin what they did to Colonel Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. But they can't do it like they did it to them, because they don't want their fingerprints on the smoking gun, the assassin's rifle, the instrument that will eventually bring him down. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think things are escalating unnecessarily, needlessly, and before you know it, it'll be World War III and the eventual use of nuclear weapons, because the head of a Russian delegation in Vienna has said that Moscow will consider deliveries of Western-made munitions which contain uranium to Kiev as equivalent to the use of dirty nuclear bombs. And of course, tanks can indeed fire such munitions. And consider this, Putin being the kind of man he is. If he loses this war, he loses everything, and I mean everything. His wealth, his position, his job, his family, even his life. Because that is the way that certain top tier of Russian society, that's how they work. It's all Game of Thrones, cloak and dagger stuff. And Putin isn't going to allow that to happen. And he will use nukes if he has to protect himself. And sending these tanks over there is just going to push him into a corner and into a position where he does. And it shocks me really that the West and social media, mainstream media, they are pushing for more funding and ammunition and weapons, etc. to Zelensky rather than pushing for peace. No one is asking for these people to come around a table and talk peace. And that should really be another red flag to observers. Even Zelensky, the Ukrainian leader, he has said that he isn't interested in meeting up with Putin for peace talks, describing him as a nobody who lives in an information bubble and does not really know what's happening on the battlefield. And for those of you thinking Zelensky is the good guy hero here, please dig into who he really is. That's all I'm saying on that. Because only yesterday he openly thanked on television BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs and others for their support of the Ukraine. So the Ukraine is peddling fear to surrounding countries and people in the West, as well as making people rich, making them a lot of money. And he even added, Zelensky said that sending the Ukraine heavier weapons like Abrams tanks represents a big business opportunity for US corporations. Now, is this guy really in the business of defending his country and his people, or making other people a lot of money? I'll leave that with you. So there we go, that's my video, hope you like. Please subscribe to what I do, share my stuff everywhere, I do appreciate it, as I make videos on a daily basis and I do like to engage with the people who comment on them. So there we go. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, and Roger Trout.